Out of all of David's 37 mighty men, only one of them had the speed compared to that of a wild animal, Asahel, which 2 Samuel chapter 2 verse 18 says. Now Asahel was as swift of feet as a wild gazelle, but unfortunately his decision making wasn't as quick as his running speed. Or maybe the other way around, because in the midst of the civil war between David's forces and Ishbosheth's forces, might butcher that name throughout the video, though he was informed not to pursue a particular individual and was even warned by said individual not to chase after him, he still did it anyway and lost his life for it. A death that had such a rippling effect of events, it led to David on his deathbed commanding his son Solomon to put Asahel's older brother to death. Why did David make such a command? Well, in this installment of Unsung Bible Stories, we will be ending off our 3-part miniseries on the sons of Zeruiah, looking at the last child, Asahel. Jumping right into 2 Samuel chapter 2, reading from verse 12, we get the account of the battle of Gibeon. Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met them at the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool. And Abner said to Joab, "Let the young men arise and compete before us." And Joab said, "Let them arise." Then they arose and passed over by number, 12 for Benjamin and Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. And each caught his opponent by the head and thrust his sword in his opponent's side. So they fell down together. Therefore that place was called Helkath Hazarim, which is at Gibeon. And the battle was very fierce that day. And Abner and the men of Israel were beaten before the servants of David. And the 3 sons of Zeruiah were there, Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. Now Asahel was as swift of foot as a wild gazelle. And Asahel pursued Abner, and as he went, he turned neither to the right hand nor the left hand from following Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, "Is it you, Asahel?" And he answered, "It is I." Abner said to him, "Turn aside to your right hand or your left hand, seize one of the young men and take his spoil." But Asahel would not turn aside from following him. And Abner said again to Asahel, "Turn aside from following me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How then could I lift up my face to your brother Joab?" But he refused to turn aside. Therefore Abner struck him in the stomach with the butt of his spear, so that the spear came out at his back. Jeez. And he fell there and died where he was. And all who came to the place where Asahel had fallen and died stood still. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner. And as the sun was going down, they came to the hill of Ammah, which lies before Giah on the way to the wilderness of Gibeon. And the people of Benjamin gathered themselves together behind Abner and became one group and took their stand on the top of a hill. Then Abner called to Joab, "Shall the sword devour forever? Do you not know that the end will be bitter? How long will it be before you tell your people to turn from the pursuit of their brothers?" And Joab said, "As God lives, if you had not spoken, surely the men would not given up the pursuit of these brothers until the morning." So Joab blew the trumpet, and all the men stopped and pursued Israel no more, nor did they fight any more. And Abner and his men went all the night through the Arabah. They crossed the Jordan, and marching the whole morning they came to Mahanaim. Joab returned from the pursuit of Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, there were missing from David's servants 19 men besides Asahel. But the servants of David had struck down Benjamin 360 of Abner's men. And they took Asahel and buried him in the tomb of his father, which was at Bethlehem. And Joab and his men marched all night, and the day broke upon them in Hebron. So I know that was a lot, as we just covered all the events that happened on the battlefield in the war of Gibeon, but let's cover why they were even fighting on the battlefield and the aftermath of this event. At this point in David's life, he had been ruling as the king of Hebron in Judah for 7.5 years. King Saul had recently died in battle, and now the throne of Israel was vacant. Normally it was supposed to go to the next of kin, but God ordained long before that David was going to be the next king of Israel. Abner, the commander of Saul's army, took his only surviving son Ishbosheth and appointed him as his father's successor, the new king of Israel. Commentary sources suggest that there most likely was a constant power struggle between the two kingdoms, David's kingdom and Ishbosheth's kingdom. A bit of foreshadowing if you ask me. Eventually, the struggle for power erupted in the Battle of Gibeon, which is what we just read from 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 12 to 32. A battle that Asahel, the son of Zeruiah, one of David's 37 mighty men, lost his life in. Chapter 3 kicks off by stating there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, and David grew stronger and stronger while the house of Saul became weaker and weaker. Eventually, after a quarrel with Ishbosheth, Abner decides to side with David, who gladly made peace with him, even having a feast to honor the treaty. In the midst of the messengers going back and forth between Abner and David, this is also where the story of Michal, Saul's daughter, who he had promised to give to David as a wife, but Saul lied and married her to one of his soldiers, is finally given to David. And all was well until Joab returned from a raid. Just then, the servants of David arrived with Joab from a raid, bringing much spoil with them. But Abner was not with David at Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he had gone in peace. When Joab and all the army that was with him came, it was told Joab, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he has let him go, and he has gone in peace. Then Joab went to the king and said, What have you done? Behold, Abner came to you. Why is it that you sent him away, so that he is gone? You know that Abner the son of Ner came to deceive you, and to know you're going out and you're coming in, and to know all that you are doing. When Joab came out from David's presence, he sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back from the cistern of Sirah. But David did not know about it. And when Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside into the midst of the gate to speak with him privately, and there he struck him in the stomach, so that he died, for the blood of Asahel his brother. Afterward, when David heard of it, he said, I and my kingdom are forever guiltless before the Lord for the blood of Abner, the son of Ner. May it fall upon the head of Joab, upon all his father's house, and may the house of Joab never be without one who has a discharge, or who is leprous, or who holds a spindle, or who falls by the sword, or who lacks bread. Jeez, that is a pronouncement from David. So Joab and Abishai his brother killed Abner because he had put their brother Asahel to death in the battle at Gibeon. And the king lamented for Abner, saying, Should Abner die as a fool dies? Your hands were not bound, your feet were not fettered. As one falls before the wicked, you have fallen. And all the people wept again over him. Skipping to verse 39, David proclaims, And I was gentle today. Though anointed king, these men, the sons of Zeruiah, are more severe than I. The Lord repaid the evildoer according to his wickedness. A commentary on the sons of Zeruiah that ultimately led to this 3-part video series put it really well on the application we can get out of the story of the sons of Zeruiah. It says, In the case of Abner, after 7 years of civil war, he had come to David to make peace. In that very delicate process of bringing all the tribes together under one king, Joab decided he had to avenge the blood of his brother Asahel, who had been killed by Abner during the war. As David later told Solomon, Joab shed blood in peacetime as in battle. As such, Joab hindered the unity being built among God's people. The same can be said about Abishai's request to kill Shimei. The unity of Israel was in the balance in the rebellion led by Absalom. While fleeing, David did not dare touch Shimei, lest God had sent him. Not only that, it would have further alienated the people to see David act in what could have come across as personal vengeance. When Absalom had been defeated and Shimei humbled himself, the reunification of Israel would have received another setback. Even more so since Shimei came accompanied by 1,000 Benjaminites who would not have taken kindly to such an action. In these incidents, we see how the sons of Zeruiah, brave men in fighting the enemies of God's people, did not understand the character of the shepherd king. As a shepherd, he would valiantly fight those who attacked the flock, but he would show great compassion in gathering the sheep of the flock, even those who were straying. In this, David foreshadowed the great shepherd king, our Lord Jesus Christ. The sons of Zeruiah, however, did not discern the difference between the way of war and the way of peace. Whereas David knew how to speak gracious words, they only knew how to draw their swords. In sum, the ways of the sons of Zeruiah do not work in the fragile, sensitive situations that so often arise when building up the peace and unity of the church. The only shed blood that builds the unity of the church is the blood of Jesus Christ. That blood is a foundation. The way to build up that foundation is by walking in the way of the Spirit, which is the way of brotherly love. And I 100% agree with that commentary on the application for that. And with that, we have come to the end of our 3-part miniseries looking at the sons of Zeruiah. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe with post notifications and even sharing the channel with others. And let me know what you took away from the sons of Zeruiah as well in the comments. If you're looking for something else to watch on the channel, then be sure to check out the previous installment on Abishai and Joab if you haven't, which is linked in the top right hand corner of your screen, or check out this other installment of Unsung Bible Stories where we looked at the funniest interaction between Joab, David's general, and Ahimaaz, David's messenger.